Servus and welcome to the Word of Marketing Jobs podcast, where I'm taking you on a marketing journey of job awareness, consideration, and application. And today, you're listening to my first solo episode, because today ends an era, my academic era. And what better way to go to the beginning of the chapter than when it ends? To find the beginning, I need to cut some parts of my life, including primary school, most of secondary school, and also I need to cut the introduction to the Austrian school system. So let's make it easy and say, let's place myself at the age of 16. This marks my first indirect career decision. And I needed to talk to my father about that a little bit yesterday because, understandably, I can't really remember what my thoughts were at that time. But apparently, I knew exactly that I wanted to do something within the media landscape. But what exactly was still to be decided. And so eventually, I got an internship at the regional television Kanal 3. To illustrate that a little bit, or to illustrate my career a little bit, I bought, so to say, my first land to place my house or my houses, so my career on it. This is sort of my playground, very unknown one. Because what I didn't expect was to land a role as a moderator there. So I was a moderator at the television. Something I must say that's super frightening, but also super exciting. One of my first tasks there was for a segment of the show called Spontaneous. And as the name suggests, both the interviewee and I needed to be very spontaneous. Because my role was to approach strangers on the street with a microphone in my hand, hoping for answers to my question. And depending on the theme of the show we were doing or the location, these were questions along the lines of, what's your favorite type of barbecue? Or why do you like to go camping? So pretty fast, I went from, please let me sit this one out, to, actually, that's quite exciting. So I grew my voice, I grew my passion for being a moderator over the years, to the extent that I was even asked to interview the Austrian Minister of Defense. And if that was not exciting enough, it was taking place in the middle of the Austrian Alps on a military training ground, and I was surrounded by soldiers. And this is really a true story. I will put the link to the episode in the show notes. And this was really the moment, probably, when I realized, okay, there is just me and the person I'm talking to, and I forgot everything that was happening around me. I was truly in a state of flow. And this story was also interesting for my French professor in my bachelor's when I told the story after I came back from summer break. And even the French word for Minister of Defense, so Ministre de la Défense, was even part of my French exam this year. So studying marketing and communication meant to experience both elements with real-life practice projects. And so, for example, moderating was still part of my marketer mix, not as often as a concrete subject, but more so in extracurricular activities. For example, I got the opportunity to talk to Sigurd Meiche, who is the former head of global sports at Red Bull or other Austrian event management experts like Gert Zaunbauer or Thomas Kenyeri. So it opened really the doors to people I wouldn't have otherwise met, and sort of also sparked the passion for interacting with people, learning what drives them, what fuels them. So, so to say, maybe the foundation of this podcast also lies in this experience. But as part of my podcast, not my podcast, but my bachelor's, I also covered other topics. For example, for one entire semester, we would have real world briefings from companies like, again, Red Bull, IKEA, or an Austrian supermarket chain called Unimarkt. And so for the duration of the semester, we would work on this briefing. And at the end, we would present in front of them and in front of industry marketing experts. And this was really a great experience because you got feedback from the people who are working on marketing concepts, communication strategies, etc., on a daily basis. And this practice equipped me for the industry as well. Adding to that, we also learned how to code, we tackled user behavior, studied how to do market research, organize events, social media, Google Ads, graphic design, and so much more. And that more, namely digital marketing, built my first work experience, the first pillar of my career house. Because whereas a lot of companies say, oh, education is important, but what is really looked at is the work experience, in my point of view. So my first one was at Digitalwerk, a full-service creative marketing agency in Vienna, and they are now called Achtzehn Grad, so 18 degrees. And sometimes you just need a new positioning. That's something I probably thought as well when it was less and less about being a student and more about being an employee and learning the hands-on skills necessary to be a good one. And this was my engine. I presented in front of one of our clients in the first month, learned how to do trend research, learned for the first time what a website looks like on the back end, taught myself Google Analytics, and I grew as a person and also as a marketer. I developed the mindset of a personal brander. I understood that being good at your job is great, but that's not enough anymore. You need to be visible. So I started to go to industry events. I was the first one to answer when the uni provided us with free tickets for conferences. And I met more and more people, including Carola Wild, who brought me from the wild, pun intended, to the marketing natives, the junior group of the Marketing Club Austria. And with my growing basket of fruit, that's also something for Carola in case she's listening, and the completion of my bachelor thesis about digital personal branding on LinkedIn, it was time for the next challenge, the next pillar for my career. And with Schouckry Najem, I met the right person who knew someone who worked at the company I worked now over the past 2 years. This job that today on Thursday, 25th of September, is coming to an end. The job that brought me to France and the job that accompanied my master's in digital marketing management. Because in France, they have a very special concept of alternance. Translated, this would be work-study program. So I got the opportunity to go to university and work alongside in the rhythm, in a wheel of, in my case, it was either 2 or 3 weeks at the company and 1 week at university. So for the past 2 years, I gained really crucial work experience, but also I almost officially can call myself MSc and Master in Alternance, Sonja Kamper. So this is really the reason why I moved abroad, because I thought it's a super great way to learn to grow in a new language, a new setting, and boost my skills here. And in my job as a digital marketing expert, I covered mostly 3 elements: design, LinkedIn, and the website. And it wouldn't be the Word of Marketing Jobs podcast if I'm not covering the elements of my podcast. So, starting with this or that. And I'm not asking myself this or that and then I'm going to answer it. No, I'm going to give you the answers right away. So, with my job as a digital marketing expert, I'm working in a B2B environment of a small, well, rather medium enterprise in an international setting. And my tasks are tackled in an in-house setting as I'm a specialist in a structured small team. And to make it a little bit more clearer what I'm talking about, let's cover the job slogan: from pixels to people. Because my key exercise is to create digital assets that help the client or prospect to understand our company, our products, our markets better. Because it's not enough to create, for example, I even now have like a little visual here. It's not enough to create something nice, something appealing, but it's also crucial to have the people in mind who are targeted by my advertising material, my brochures, etc. So from pixels to people is something that summarizes that really nicely. So with the help of mostly Adobe Express, InDesign, and PowerPoint, I was creating brochures, banners, roll-ups, booths, presentations. And to this day, I'm known as the marketing apprentice with the purple blazer. Not this one I'm wearing right now, but a brighter one, because last year we introduced a brand refresh and I was asked by my manager to present this change to the entire company. And something important to know about this brand refresh was the color purple. Because beforehand, we see it here still a little bit, we had orange and some gray tones. And with the brand refresh, we won the purple over to be included in our color palette. So presenting the new color purple in a purple blazer was something I thought it was a good idea. And yeah, to this day, I'm remembered as the purple blazer marketing colleague. And I was also present on LinkedIn. There it was more about strategy work, but also writing and designing the postings, educating our coworkers, also about the platform. because juggling the interests of different teams, especially when you have, for example, product experts, the marketing team, and the sales who have similar but sometimes different ideas, it's really something that excited me to bring these interests together in one post that makes a lot of people happy and that portrays the situation with an added value. And I'm also passionate about making this corporate account that we had as a central hub for interaction. We implemented LinkedIn ambassadors who are internal opinion leader who were from different teams and who we thought were interesting voices to hear also on LinkedIn. So we engage them that they comment, share, repost our LinkedIn postings from the corporate account on their personal ones. And seeing this different views come to life and the thumbs up and excitement when post was launched was really something that I really liked to watch. And my third element was the corporate website. That included actualizing content in the back end, so in the content management system, CMS, bringing awareness for search engine optimization, SEO topics, and owning the content owner master file. Especially through writing my master thesis about search engine optimization, building sort of a strategy from scratch, I learned a lot about the importance of having clear pages, having good meta descriptions, alt text with images, etc. And bringing this expertise also to the team, bringing awareness for the topic, being the marketer who also, through knowing a little bit of code, etc., be really essential for the website team as well to bring these strand of ideas to life. And it was really interesting to see that happening. Also, my evolution from hearing about a backend the first time in my first marketing internship in my bachelor's, and now being the responsible one from the marketing team for the website, really something super interesting. And this was sort of my trinity of tasks. So design, LinkedIn, and websites. And everything that doesn't fall under these three is not my job. I have wonderful colleagues in external communication covering PR topics, or in the marketing team, my lovely colleague Juliane, who covers emails. So whereas we are not a big team, we have very specialized interests, and usually you know which one to write a little Teams message, like like the one I received earlier, or a little email to get to know how you can bring your request across. So next on the line is the ideal job persona. So as my contract is ending today, how does my replacement look like? The persona of my replacement. Well, a replacement is maybe not the right word to say, so my successor, the person taking my job after me. So, job persona. I would say doing this job, to put it under a headline, is someone who is a creative communicator. Someone who is a visual storyteller, bringing concepts to life, but in an appealing and contextual way. To have someone who really breathes branding, who understands the importance of coherence from one channel to another, from A to C, but also someone who is a digital strategist, seeing the full picture as well, to know, okay, how can we bring the offline messages to the digital sphere, adapting them as needed, and do it seamlessly and in a way that, once again, from people to pixels, everyone understands and it's clear to the audience. People, very important too. Someone who is a digital marketing expert should be a relationship builder, in my case. Someone who leaves a mark on the people they met. Someone who bridges gaps between teams. Especially in my case, I came in as the only one with this sort of expertise about the digital marketing world, or at least about some aspects about it. And so taking this knowledge you have and bring it to the respective teams for which it's interesting to know about, for example, SEO, is really important to close the gaps and to add sort of the glue for different teams. So it's important to translate complexity. Someone who is really proactive, innovative, and someone who takes project ownership. Because especially when you look at the work-study rhythm, you are working for the majority of the time, but especially when you are for this 1 week in university and you come back, or you do the handover with your colleagues before you go to university, it's really important that you emphasize the importance of the projects you're having, either talking to the person taking your tasks to continue, for example, reaching out to several people, or if the project is on hold until you come back. So, project ownership, being a good communicator, is really something crucial, in my case, as a digital marketing expert. And yeah, I think it's now time to summarize it even further with my job value proposition. A digital marketing expert helps colleagues, customers, and prospects who want to have a digital touch point with the company by avoiding inconsistencies in branding and messaging, and increasing a coherent brand identity across digital platforms. I think that's a really good way to encapsulate that. In my sense, it is key that we are in the digital sphere, but there's also this understanding for the people and the branding, and to do so on the website and LinkedIn. If I were to pick golden nuggets, so what are ways to do my job as well as, or even better in the future? I would say it's all about working on your skills and on your relationship, especially when we are talking about AI, a lot about innovation. Having that literacy, having that knowledge about these emerging trends is crucial to know. Also, where do I still need to improve my skills? Where do I need to sort of transform my skills? And which ones are no longer relevant? And so you can learn how to better do it with AI, for example. But I also talked about relationships. So, especially today, where we are maybe in a job market that it's not as flourishing as directly after COVID, let's phrase it that way. It's good to know the right people, to have not only if you're in need for a job or if you need to do a career change, but also to gain that first party hands on knowledge that maybe you won't get or get delayed if you were to follow any other channels. So that's really something that's key. And to have really these multiple strong pillars in your career house, to have your wonderful land and to build strong foundations in your houses. Because in the past 2 years, while working as a digital marketing expert, I also learned other skills, more for my personal journey. My second house, you can also call it passion projects or side hustles. First and foremost, you're listening to it right now. It's my podcast. And this one particularly was created to help marketers interested in different jobs in the field. This is a way for me to, let's say, satisfy my inner people person. I love to interact with people, hear about their stories, give them a stage to shine. And so doing this solo episode today and to give me the soul stage to shine was really a next step for me, because my intention initially was that I will interview people in every single episode. So it's also a way for me to grow my skills, grow my network, and even if this podcast episode helps one person, I'm already happy. And that's also something that's present in my second project, which is YouTube. YouTube is part of my marketing mix. Every month, I summarize all my experiences in a virtual photo or like photo album, virtual video album would be the better way to describe it. And what started out as really a project to stay connected with my family turned into this multilingual project to not only have a video in German for my Austrian half, but also one in English for now my little more international setting with coworkers and friends who wanted to be part of this one as well. And so editing with different programs like Premiere Pro, also Adobe Express or CapCut. It's really something I switch around every month to gain my skills there as well. And LinkedIn is sort of my central hub for everything. This is where everything comes together, all flows together. Not only is this my digital CV, where I have pretty much the summary of this podcast in a little bit different of a setting, but it's also the source of information, of staying informed. To come back to this golden nugget I was mentioning about relationships, about network, LinkedIn is really a place for me to stay informed about the industry, to stay relevant, stay updated, and stay connected with my network, with my people. And yeah, I think LinkedIn is a really great platform to do so. And now we're reaching already almost the end of this podcast. What's remaining is the question from my previous guest. It's Vanessa. She is also working within the broader ecosystem of my company. So we have been working together over the past 2 years. And she didn't know that I will be my own, or I will be the next guest on my podcast. And so she asked me the following question: one tip that I would give someone who wants to do something completely new with their job. If I were to change jobs, if I were to try something new, one tip to follow and succeed. And that's a really interesting question for me personally, because as I'm ending my contract today, I don't have something lined up yet. So I'm in this stage where I'm open, where I'm exploring for different ways of doing something new. And if I were to give one tip, it's following your gut. Because if you know in your side that you want to change, but maybe you don't want to because this means giving up the control that's so important for you, or leaving some coworkers behind you have been working over the past years, or leaving projects behind that are close to your heart, etc. I think my cousin said this wonderful, like a little mantra to me not long ago, which is just do it. It might be good. Just taking that first step to experience something new, something exciting, something that can push you further is something that excites me, and I would give as a tip to anyone being in the same situation. But this element of succeeding is something that's super personal. There is no one size fits all perfect KPI, key performance indicator, to say, oh yeah, was successful or this was not. I would say just do it and dive into something new. And I think there is more to learn from it than to lose. So I think you can never lose if you dare to do what you really want, what your gut is telling you. Oh, that got very philosophical. But yeah, it's truly what I believe in and what fuels me every single day, especially now in this time of uncertainty where I don't know what's going to happen next. And I'm just open for any opportunity within Europe, within the marketing field, where I can bring my key competences of LinkedIn, design, the website into my workforce. But maybe this is more towards branding, to create presentation beyond that end. Maybe it's more on the website itself, on SEO. Maybe it's more on the communication element of crafting website texts and maybe even PR. So for me, key is to stay open and to await that what's coming, in the sense that the right thing will come and the right challenge awaits maybe also already for you, Vanessa, and you just need to take the first step. Well, so the very last element of the World of Marketing Jobs podcast is the question for the next guest. And the one I would like to know, and even I don't know who my next guest will be, is what is your spark? What fuels you? What makes you exciting to go to work every single day? And how did you find it? That would really interest me, because passion is something that's more and more important, At least that's something that's very important for me. And finding that passion and working on it sounds like the absolute dream. And I've been living parts of this passion for communication, for people, etc. already. But I'm curious what my next guest has to say about this. And so the last thing that's left for me to say is thank you. Thank you for those listeners, or if you watch it, for these people who watched me talk very vividly over the last couple of minutes, and also saying thank you to the company I've been in over the past 2 years. Thank you to my coworkers for giving me these opportunities to learn new skills, branch out, meet people, and also to Elena, one of my coworkers that I can shoot in this wonderful room, which is our webinar room. So now it's also a podcast room, apparently, which is a very nice and inviting room, even though my background is gray. But yeah, without further ado, see you in the next episode. Bussi, bye bye.